Your OnlyFans money is filthy. Don't you dare touch my food with it. Jake's voice cracked across the dining room like a starter pistol fork stabbing the air for emphasis. Mom's gravy boat froze mid-pass. Dad's jaw locked. Aunt Linda's wineglass hovered an inch from her lips. The chandeliers, crystals trembled, scattering candlelight like broken glass. I just smiled, wiped my mouth with the linen napkin Mom had monogrammed last Christmas, and slipped my phone under the table. One text, one number. Done. Let's rewind 43 seconds to the moment the bomb detonated. The McAllister dining room smelled like Thanksgiving on steroids. Rosemary-crusted prime rib garlic, mashed potatoes, and the brown sugar-glazed carrots. Dad insisted on every Sunday. Mom had set the table with the good china, the stuff with the tiny gold rim that cost more per plate than most people's car payments. Outside Naperville's maple trees bled red and orange across the manicured lawn, the kind of suburb where HOA fines arrived faster than Amazon packages. I'd flown in from L.A. That morning, trading palm trees for cornfields because Mom had begged. Just one family dinner, Ava. Jake's announcing something big. Translation. Jake had a new toy to brag about, and everyone needed an audience. Jake, 31, former high school quarterback turned hospitality entrepreneur, sat at Dad's right hand like a prince waiting for coronation. His fiancée Brittany, all teeth, and Tory Burch, kept touching the rock on her finger as if it might vanish. Across from them, Aunt Linda live-tweeted the meal to her 312 followers, and Uncle Rick scrolled fantasy football stats under the table. Standard McAllister chaos. I'd been quiet most of the night, letting the conversation swirl around me like smoke. Jake's new restaurant, the Brass Rail, was opening in 2 weeks in downtown Chicago. He'd sunk every dime of his trust fund into it, plus a small loan from Dad. The monologue had been running for 20 minutes. Farm-to-table sourcing, Michelin-starred chef poached from New York celebrity investors. Blah, blah, blah. Then Mom asked the fatal question. Ava, honey, how's the new apartment? Still loving Venice Beach? I opened my mouth to answer something bland about ocean views and overpriced oat milk when Jake cut in. Speaking of money, he said, voice syrupy with fake concern, how's the, content creation going, sis? Still raking in the big bucks, shaking your ass for strangers? The room temperature dropped 10 degrees. Forks paused. Brittany's smile calcified. I laughed short, sharp, the kind that says, try again. It's called entrepreneurship, Jake. You should look it up. Dad cleared his throat. Let's not. But Jake was on a roll. Entrepreneurship? Ava, you're selling nudes to lonely dudes in their mom's basement? That's not a career, that's a cry for help. Aunt Linda gasped theatrically. Uncle Rick finally looked up from his phone. Mom's eyes pleaded with me. Please don't make a scene. Dad stared at his plate like the prime rib might sprout wings and escape. I leaned back, folding my arms. Last month, I cleared 6 figures after taxes. How's the Brass Rail's profit and loss looking, big brother? Still hemorrhaging cash on that overpriced espresso machine? Brittany squeaked. Jake's face went the color of the Merlot in his glass. That's different, he spat. I'm building something real. You're just... He waved a hand at me like I was a stain he couldn't scrub out. Parasitic. The word landed like a slap. Parasitic. From the guy who'd lived off Dad's Amex until he was 27. I reached for the gravy boat, slow, deliberate, and ladled a perfect swirl over my potatoes. Jake's eyes tracked the motion like I was handling biohazard waste. Don't, he snapped. Your OnlyFans money is filthy. Don't you dare touch my food with it. Mom, Dad, Aunt Linda, Uncle Rick, everyone nodded in eerie unison, a Greek chorus of disapproval. The chandelier flickered again as if the house itself agreed. I set the ladle down with a soft clink, smiled, wiped my mouth, slipped my phone under the table. Text sent, 7:42 p.m. to Marcus Delgado Esquire. Message, green light, execute. Then I looked Jake dead in the eye. Enjoy the prime rib, bro. It's the last meal you'll taste without heartburn. Flashback. 3 months earlier, LA. I'd been on a rooftop in downtown city lights, glittering like spilled diamonds, when Marcus first laid out the plan. He was 6'4", ex-military, and wore Tom Ford suits like armor. His office overlooked the 110 freeway, and his retainers started at 5 figures. "Your brother's restaurant lease?" he'd said, sliding a folder across the glass desk. "Signed under McAllister Holdings, LLC. Guess whose name is on the operating agreement as a silent partner with veto power?" I'd stared at the signature page. Ava R. McAllister. Dad had added me years ago, back when Jake was still blowing trust fund cash on bottle service in Vegas. A just-in-case clause. Insurance. Marcus tapped the page. "One text from you and I frees every vendor payment, every liquor license transfer, every construction permit. The brass rail opens on schedule, or it doesn't open at all." I'd laughed then, the kind that bubbles up when you realize the universe has a sense of humor. "You're saying I can tank his dream with a thumbs-up emoji?" "Legally, yes. Ethically?" Marcus shrugged. "He called your money filthy. Turnabout's fair play." I'd told him to wait. Family first, right? But I kept his number on speed dial, just in case. Back to Sunday dinner. Jake was still ranting something about family values and setting an example when my phone buzzed under the table. "Marcus, voicemail drafted. Sending at 8 a.m. tomorrow. You sure?" I typed back, 100%. Dessert was Mom's bourbon pecan pie. Nobody ate much. Jake kept glaring at my plate like I'd poisoned it. Brittany posted an Instagram story of her engagement ring with the caption, "Blessed, zero mention of the screaming match." At 9:15, I hugged Mom goodbye. She clung a little too long, whispering, "Call me later, okay?" Dad avoided my eyes. Jake wouldn't even look at me. As I stepped onto the porch, the cold hit like a slap. I zipped my leather jacket, custom butter soft, paid for by the same filthy money, and slid into my Uber Black. The driver, a guy named Raj with a thick Chicago accent, glanced in the rear view. "Family dinner, huh? You have no idea." Monday, 7:58 a.m. Jake's phone rang in the half-finished kitchen of the Brass Rail. He was elbow-deep in stainless steel, yelling at a contractor about delayed hood vents. The caller ID said Delgado and Associates. He almost let it go to voicemail unknown number, but the area code was 312, local, important. He hit speaker. Jake McAllister. A voice like polished granite filled the room. "Mr. McAllister, Marcus Delgado, representing your sister Ava McAllister. This is official notice. Effective immediately, all funds under McAllister Holdings LLC are frozen pending audit. Vendor payments halted. Liquor license transfer denied. Construction permits revoked. You have until 5 p.m. today to remit $187,342 in disputed personal expenses charged to the LLC, or we file for dissolution. Have a nice day." The line went dead. Jake stood frozen phone dangling. The contractor, a guy named Tony with a White Sox tattoo, whistled low. "Sounds like someone's lawyer just lit a match under your ass, boss." 8:42 a.m. Jake blew through 3 red lights on his way to Naperville. He called Dad voicemail. Mom crying, no answers. Brittany hysterically asking if the wedding was off. By the time he screeched into my driveway, yes, my driveway, I'd bought the house next to our parents last year cash, he was sweating through his Patagonia vest. I was on the porch swing, sipping a latte wearing sunglasses, even though the sky was gray. He stumbled up the steps, clutching a half-eaten Jimmy John's sandwich like a white flag. "Ava," he panted, "what the hell did you do?" I tilted my head. "I touched your food with my filthy money, remember?" Consider this the receipt. His knees buckled. He actually sank onto the welcome mat. "The restaurant opens in 12 days. Investors are flying in. The chef's threatening to walk. Please, I'll apologize. I'll do anything." I took a slow sip. "Anything?" He nodded frantic. "Start with the sandwich. Eat it out loud. He stared at the soggy sub, turkey soggy from nervous sweat, then looked up at me. For the first time in years, my brother looked small. I pulled out my phone, hit record. Say it for the camera, Jake. Tell the internet how your sister's filthy money just saved your entitled ass. He opened his mouth, closed it. The sandwich trembled in his hand. Behind us, the sprinklers kicked on hissing like laughter. Hey, if you're screaming at your screen right now, smash that like button, drop a comment with your wildest family dinner horror story, and subscribe. Also, let me know where you're watching from. I'd love to know. Jake's teeth sank into the soggy Jimmy John's with the enthusiasm of a man chewing glass. Mayo oozed between his fingers, lettuce stuck to his chin like wet confetti. My phone's camera rolled 4K portrait mode merciless. The sprinklers hissed behind us a suburban soundtrack to his humiliation. Say it, I prompted, voice honeyed steel. He swallowed, gagging. I'm sorry, Ava. Your money's not filthy. It's clean. Cleaner than mine. Please unfreeze the accounts. I stopped recording. Sent the clip to Marcus with the caption, Insurance. Then I crouched so we were eye level. Apology accepted, but we are not done. His face crumpled. What else do you want? I stood, brushed imaginary lint from my jeans. Get in the car. We're going to the restaurant. 917A. M. The brass rail sat on the corner of Randolph and Wabash, all exposed brick and Edison bulbs, the kind of place that charged $18 for a cocktail with one ice cube. Construction tape fluttered in the wind. A handwritten sign on the door read, Closed for renovations, grand opening November 12th. The 12 was crossed out in Sharpie, replaced with a frantic question mark. Inside chaos. The chef, some French guy named Julien with a man bun and a Michelin pedigree, was screaming in rapid-fire Gallic at a sous chef. Delivery drivers stacked crates of Wagyu like Jenga. Brittany hovered near the host stand mascara, streaking, yelling into her phone. No, Mommy, the venue's not refundable. Jake stumbled through the door behind me. Every head swiveled. Julian's knife paused mid-chop. Who is she? He demanded in accented English. I stepped forward, boots clicking on the reclaimed wood floor. Ava McAllister. Silent partner. 51%. Julian's eyes narrowed. You are the reason my walk-in cooler is empty? Partially. I pulled a folder from my tote, Marcus's handiwork, embossed with the Delgado and Associates seal. But I'm also the reason it'll be full by noon, if we renegotiate. Jake made a strangled noise. Brittany dropped her phone. Flashback. 6 weeks ago, Venice Beach. I'd been live streaming a Q&A, thousands watching tips rolling in, when a DM slid into my inbox. At Chef Julian B. Your brother is a fool. His menu is garbage. Call me. I'd laughed so hard I snorted. Then I called. Turned out Julian had been poached from Le Bernardin with promises of equity and creative control. Jake's version of creative control was demanding truffle oil on everything and banning gluten because Brittany was sensitive. Julian was one bad staff meal away from quitting. We met at a dive bar in Santa Monica. He slid a flash drive across the table. His cost sheets. He's paying double for produce from some farm in Wisconsin that's just a Costco parking lot. I have suppliers in Napa who'll do it for half. I'd grinned. You want in? He'd clinked his beer against my sparkling water. I want out of Jake's circus, but I'll stay if the ringmaster changes. Back to the brass rail. I slapped the folder on the bar. New terms. Julian gets 20% equity full menu control. Vendor switch to my list, organic, local, half the cost. Jake keeps 29%, but he's on probation. One more tantrum, he's out. Brittany, I glanced at her. You're head of marketing, but your first campaign is a public apology video. Tag me. Brittany opened her mouth. Closed it. Nodded. Jake looked like he'd been gut punched. You can't? I can. I just did. I turned to the room. Anyone who's not on board, doors that way. Anyone who is, first round's on me. My money. A cheer went up. Even the Wagyu guys fist bumped. 11:03 a.m. The walk-in cooler hummed to life, stocked with crates of heirloom tomatoes and grass-fed ribeyes. Julien barked orders in French. The kitchen snapped into rhythm like a symphony, finding its conductor. Jake stood in the corner, arms crossed, watching his empire get hijacked by his little sister. I found him by the patio doors, staring at the half-installed fire pit. "You hate me," he said quietly. "Nope, I hate bullies." I leaned against the frame. "Remember senior year? You told the whole lunchroom I stuffed my bra." "I wore baggy sweaters for a month." He winced. "I was a dick. Still are, but you're my dick. And family doesn't let family drown in their own ego." He looked at me, then really looked. "How'd you even the LLC thing? Dad never told me." "Dad's old school. Protect the girls. He put me on the papers when you were in Vegas, charging strippers to the company card." I shrugged. "I just waited for you to need me." His laugh was half sob. "I'm broke, Ava. The trust fund's gone. Brittany's ring is on a payment plan. If this place fails, it won't." I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, transferred $250,000 to the LLC account with a flourish. Consider it seed round 2. But I own the menu, the vibe, and the final say. You're the face, I'm the spine. He stared at the screen. "Why?" "Because Mom's pecan pie deserves a Michelin star. And because you're going to learn that filthy money builds things too." 1:47 p.m. We shot Brittany's apology video in the dining room. Natural light, soft filter, her sitting on a bar stool looking appropriately contrite. "Hi everyone, Brittany here. Last night my fiancé was unkind to his sister Ava. Her work funds this restaurant. Without her there'd be no brass rail. We're sorry. Please come celebrate with us November 12th. Use code AVRELES for 20% off your first visit." I posted it to the restaurant's Instagram, 100K followers overnight. The internet loves a redemption arc. Julien live tweeted the menu reveal, foie gras torchon with huckleberry gastrique. Gluten-free because we're not monsters. The reservation system crashed from traffic. 6:22 p.m. Back in Naperville, Mom's kitchen smelled like lasagna, her apology dish. Dad was at the table reading glasses, perched reviewing the new operating agreement Marcus had couriered over. Jake sat across from him, head in his hands. I walked in with a bottle of 2008 Screaming Eagle Cabernet, retailed for $3,500 paid with filthy money. Popped the cork like a gunshot. Mom gasped. "Ava, that's worth every penny. I poured 4 glasses. To new beginnings." Dad raised his. "To daughters who save their brothers' asses." Jake clinked his glass eyes wet. "To sisters who could have destroyed me but built something better." We drank. The wine tasted like victory and mercy. Grand opening night. The brass rail glowed under string lights, line out the door. Julien's foie gras sold out in 40 minutes. Brittany's apology video hit 2 million views. Jake wore a custom apron that read, "Head Chef's Bitch," his idea penance via punchline. I stood at the host stand greeting guests. A reporter from Eater cornered me. "Miss McAllister, rumor is you funded this with adult content revenue. Care to comment?" I smiled slow and sharp. "I fund it with my revenue, period. Next question." Behind me, Jake caught my eye across the room. He mouthed, "Thank you." I winked. Then I slipped into the kitchen, where Julien was plating dessert bourbon pecan pie deconstructed with gold leaf. "Mom's recipe?" I asked. "Perfected." He slid me a plate. "For the real boss." I took a bite. Heaven. Outside, Chicago's skyline sparkled. Inside, my family flawed loud redeemed past plates and stories. The chandelier didn't flicker once. If this redemption had you cheering, crying, or plotting your own sibling takedown, smash that like button, comment your favorite plot twist, and subscribe.